Testing. There we go. Okay, that was way too hard. My apologies. Apparently I kicked some cables and it turns out your microphone doesn't work if you don't plug it in. Who would have thought? I apologize for my absence last week. It was my wife's birthday and, well, things had to get done in preparation for a party for her. So made a judgment call that was probably a good idea. So tonight, gonna dive back into the material design and XAML project unless I get horribly distracted with something, which only occasionally happens. Tonight I'm gonna do something a little, well, maybe not completely different. We are going to circle back in on the color stuff. So what is all going on? There's been a lot of stuff happening. There's been lots of stuff happening. So step one, we kicked a 4.9.0 release, which had a bunch of stuff in here, and I threw together a 4.10 milestone as a placeholder. The thing is there's a bunch of stuff all in here that's closed out. Can't decide if it's worth fixing immediately or not. On the fence. I am very tempted to get a bunch of the 5.0 stuff in, and the big thing that's holding it up is the new color bits. What do I mean by color bits? So the theming for the material design project has been a pain point for a lot of cases. There's always the question that comes, hey, how do I change the color of insert thingy here? And sometimes the answer is, oh, you do X. And sometimes the answer is, yeah, you can't easily do that without changing, a bunch of other things. The text box is an easy example to pick on because there's the hints, there's the underline, there's all these things that are sharing some common brushes, and it would be nice to not do that. So what I have started in on in all of this process stuff is this idea of having some theme brushes that we can change out. And so we're going to dive back into the UI tests and take a look at that. Where were those theme WPF theme tests? Got it. And I've gone to the effort of writing some tests. I've also gone to the effort of generating some of the tests, because why write some tests when you can write all the tests? So I think we're in a compiling state. So you'll note that this is a partial class where I wrote a little bit of code and then I generated a bunch of code where I can do stuff like this and verify that everything is in and working. So let's see, test explorer, wrong monitor, come back, here. Okay, UI tests, and then I would like to do be big. I would like to run the theme test to start. So this is where we're going to get going, which is good. And make sure that all of these things fire up. And we've got one failure, and then we are going to figure out what's going on with these. And I've got a couple to-dos and a little cleanup. And so we're going to see how far along we get here. So let's see. Bundled theme uses same colors as XAML resources. So this is going back to the idea that there's multiple ways to set up your WPF application in your app.xaml. You have the option of using the XAML resource dictionaries to configure them. You also have the option of using the bundled theme with nice little enums, which is great. You can pick your favorite. But the idea here is we want to make sure that they are the same, and they are apparently not the same. And more importantly, cannot find resource name brush background. That's interesting. Okay, so let's see here. So we've got initialize, theme dictionary, initialize there and there. I might need to look at this initialize method because I'm a little surprised. Get colors. And this all makes sense to me. I'm just a little surprised that these things are empty strings. Because I would have expected the... Well, let's look at initialize first. What do you do? So theme dictionary goes there. That bundles that up. Great. So I sort of am picturing that I want to do this maneuver. And we want to data. So, okay. Yeah. So we got a couple things. This test has been started, but isn't really working per se. So for example, we're going to do this. All right. So we're going to grab this. This will give it set up. Now you'll note this is primary and secondary color. We probably, this to do is what is saying these things here need to be done differently. We do not want color adjustment set. And this probably needs to toggle between light and dark. In fact, we're going to just default it to light for now. And then we are going to do, let's see, all brushes applied. So we need to do this guy here. Insert that. That will get me light. And really what we're looking to do, it's going to end up being very similar to this guy. So we're just going to grab that. And clear that out, paste that in, bum. So deep purple and lime, which should get us roughly pretty close. But I do think I want to data drive this with a lot of the stuff. So let's get the single case working and then we'll data drive it. That was a quick fail. Didn't pop the second. Oh, it's still running. Interesting. Why are you still running? Okay, something's a little up. Let's first of all make sure we don't have any rogue XAML test processes, which does occasionally happen, much to my dismay. Nope, we're good. No rogue processes. So, I have a feeling it's this dispose that's biting me. Either that or the follow-up on initialize. That does that. Does that. That does that dispose. Initialize. Oh, so it's probably, it's trying to reinitialize the same app instance, and that's what's breaking it. Okay. Go back, test base, app, and where do you get set? Right, we need to reinitialize you after you've been disposed of. So if we come in here, won't this is not the same initialize call, right? This is, yeah, that's all the way underneath. Okay, so where is, sorry, I'm just trying to follow this constructor. That sets that up. This call has to be getting invoked. Oh, async lifetime. Right. So I really don't want to dispose of it. I really just want to create a new window. That's really all I want to do, is I want to terminate the existing window. and spin a new one. So what do you do? Oh, but I actually do want to kill the process and restart because this is building that up. Got it. What's the easiest way to go about doing that? I think we can just go await app.initialize. That what it was in the base? Initialize async. Let's see. Reset up. That will close it. I'm wondering if rather than calling app dispose async, if I should be abusing the async lifetime to preemptively do it. I think I probably should. It makes more sense rather than calling app dispose async to call this dispose async. And those two things go together. Okay, we're just going to debug real quick because I want to make sure that we actually get past this. I'm a little surprised that thing hangs in that situation. Yep, async lifetime, you're invoked by XUnit. I get it. Okay. Reinitialize. Reinitialize. There we go. Okay, so that got me there. Green check mark. Okay, so both of these ones here at least are working. So now what I really need is a set of primary colors, secondary colors, and then going through every combination of base name. That sounds like code I don't really want to write. So in this case, we probably want string primary color, string secondary color, string base name. I might do this in a different order. So this ends up being, let's see, we $sign this, and this becomes base theme. This becomes primary color. This becomes secondary color, and I apologize for my big head in the way. Let's see, this becomes, oh, I need to interpolate that. Pretty please. Base theme. Primary color. Come on, do what I tell you. Secondary color. For those people who are interested, I've actually planned out the stream for next week. It's going to be Maui themed, so .NET Maui. Someone online reached out to me about doing a code review of an app that they had, and I love code reviews. Code reviews are awesome. So he was willing to let me show it live on stream, and I was like, well, let's schedule a time that works. And so we went back and forth a bit, found something that worked out nicely, and here we are. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Let's see. Public static I enumerable of object array. Theme combinations. Now, I'm wondering if this is best to do here or if I should do this in a somewhere else. Okay, so that should get me to there. This needs to be a theory because it's data driven. And get some space in here. And so in theory, this just becomes something like a yield return. Let's just make sure it works to start. Yield new. Let's see. So we've got light, deep purple, and then lime. Right. Yield return, new object array, and away we go. So this guy should run again. He should do a single iteration, but now all we have to do is populate this enumerable with all of the combinations we care about, and then bippity boppity booyah, we're off to the races. Perfect. Let's take a quick gander, because I'm wondering if this is something that we should resource gen. So inside of here, this guy, which probably needs to get updated, generate brushes async is pretty much ripping through all of the theme colors, but I don't think it has, it doesn't have a concept of primary and secondary dictionaries. Now, I think that is actually covered by these guys here of primary, secondary. This really should say secondary, not accent. Fix that in a moment. Yeah. Why are you unhappy? Spelling error. Class is not a word. Not when you attach the apostrophe to it. Don't attach the apostrophe to it. Let's see. I don't really want to get flagged for every single time the British spelling of color is used. Stop bothering me. I will say, for those people who haven't seen it yet, the spell check feature, I am running a preview version of Visual Studio, which I don't think the spell checker's landed in regular version of Visual Studio yet, but, well, that feature alone is a godsend. It actually saved me on tracking down a bug earlier today in my day job. There was a resource string where one of the words in the middle of the string was spelled incorrectly, and it was resulting in a resource not being found. With the spell checker turned on, it was kind of glaringly obvious what the problem was. It was fix your spelling, and away you go. Let's see. Are these still named accent? No, we just wrote a test for that, didn't we? They are still named accent. How badly do I want to break people? How badly do I want to break people? That's probably not that big of a deal. Okay, so the nice part, though, is we do have an enum that we can work with here. So let's see. Primary color, enum, get values. Actually, get names is probably better. I only care about the names. Let's see. Primary colors. And then we can do the same thing here for secondary colors. And then we can do string base themes. Gets light, dark. Okay, that gets me into there, that gets me into there, and away we go. Now, trying to decide if I just brute force this or not. kind of think we brute force this. Build up all of the combinations. Okay, Copilot, do it. Is it bad that I wrote that comment solely to try and trigger Copilot? Thanks. It seems wrong. It seems wrong, doesn't it? Just a little wrong. Little bit. Oh, Copilot, you are freaking amazing. Oh, you make my life so happy. Have you been using Copilot chat yet? Yes, I have. How do I word this nicely? Copilot chat is the next best thing to worthless, in my opinion, at the moment. Now, it's getting better. It's getting better. But, dear heavens, it has been wrong, arrogantly wrong, misleading, and wrong. And I don't know what to do with it. Like, the only things it's been mildly helpful with is looking things up. Where it has been really bad, for example, let's do this, right? Ask Copilot. Explain what this method does. Let's see. Like, this should be easy mode, right? Let's see. Returns an enumerable collection of the bases. In the method, 3 arrays are all created to represent the possible values, blah, blah, blah. Next, a series of for loops iterate over. Overall, the method is designed to generate a collection of all possible theme combinations of the material design theme, which is used in various other tests, wrong, of material design themes, ish. Possible ways to improve this code include adding a filter to prevent duplicate theme combinations. Right? Okay. And refactoring the loops with functional programming languages to boost scalability and readability. So let's see. Its suggestions are adding a filter, to reduce duplicates, which are not possible, or use a different programming language. Right. Thanks. Let's see. Again, this is why I argue next best thing to useless. Okay, use link to build up all of the combinations. That's actually not bad. Yeah, go ahead and do that. That's fine. I don't know if this is more readable or less. It's cooler, I'll give it that. Okay, we'll use that. Like I said, it's getting better. Okay, so test explore. Now, this I don't feel like waiting for. There's 608 tests. That's a lot. So, here's what we're going to do instead, because it's like the kid in math class that can't show the correct work but gets the right answer. Amen. Amen. That is a great example. Let's see. Take 2. Take 2. That's still going to be, what is that? 2 times 2 times 2? 2 to the third? That's not going to be 608, right? It's going to be 8. We're going to make sure 8 work. And then we're not going to worry about it. Because these tests aren't that slow, but they're a couple seconds apiece. And a couple of seconds multiplied by 608, it's a lot. A lot. Kind of trying to decide if I should do something to mitigate that. This almost feels like one of those situations that yeah, because each of these tests is taking 2-ish seconds. It's probably worthwhile doing. Oh, explaining the link expression. Sure. So these are functional equivalent. So there's two ways of writing link. There's the standard, like what I've done here with the method chaining, fluent syntax. And then there's, what is this referred to as? Query syntax, I think is the right term for the SQL-y type way of writing link straight up in line. From and in is effectively a for each loop. So you can, every time you see this, the thing on the if you just think of this as, like, mentally all I do is this in my head, right? For base theme in base themes. Even though it starts with the word from, I just mentally put the word for there, and then it reads really nicely for me. So for each base theme in base themes. So that's an iterator. And then for each primary color and primary color, so that's another iterator, effectively a nested for each. And then the same thing for secondary colors. And then this select, like, it might, one could argue that might make it more readable, right? If you were to write this as a for each without curly braces, you'd end up with something that looks remarkably similar to that. Now, in this case, select is no different than the select method, right? The select keyword here is just taking a the values available to it, and in this case, because it's nested inside of 3 iterations, it's got access to each of the iterator variables, and it's just projecting into an object array. Now, this whole thing here, worth noting, this thing always kicks back an IEnumerable. I should say always. This is likely to kick back an IEnumerable if you're doing link over objects. If you're doing queryables, that's a different story. But link over objects, you get back an IEnumerable here. You go and have fun playing with. So something like that. Is this more readable than 3 nested for eaches? I think it's more clever. Readable might be debatable. I am worried that this is going to just tank my perf. Because what is that? If we assume 608 seconds times 2 divided by 60, that's 20 minutes. Do I want a 20-minute test run? No, I do not want a 20-minute test run. Now, I recall reading something recently. So we're going to go take... So because adding 20 minutes to my test run sounds like a miserable nightmare, XUnit seed. There is a... There is a magical thing I was reading about in XUnit where you can get access to a seed for it. Why would it add another 20 minutes? That's a ton. So that 20 minutes is based under the idea that I ran 8 of them. And each of these individual tests took somewhere between 1.8 and 2.8 seconds. So I just called it 2 seconds each. If there's 608 of them, let's see, show my work. If there's 608 of them times 2 seconds apiece, that's 1,200 seconds. 1,200 seconds divided by 60 gives me 20.2 minutes. Back of the napkin math. And the reason these tests are slow is because they're UI tests. And each one of these tests has to spin 2 other processes. So they aren't expected to be overly fast. What I would like, though, is I think if I remember right, there is a seed option in here. Yeah. Oh, see, this might not work. I was hoping. So this is what I was hoping. So XUnit randomizes the order of test cases that are executed, which is cool. It's what you like. And it tells you what the seed value was for the randomization, so that so that inevitably when tests fail, you can go back and recreate, because nothing would be more obnoxious than, oh, well, this run failed, but when I run locally, it works because, randomization and you didn't land on the same seed. I was kind of hoping this XUnit v3, I was kind of hoping this was something that would get exposed out. Hey, Justin Bieber. Trying to avoid adding 20 minutes to my test run. Let's see. Yeah, unit test projects, net standard. Oh man, I was really hoping there would be an option in here. Well, this is interesting. You actually have to. Oh, XUnit v3 alpha isn't even out. Okay, so this is less of a valid option for me. Okay, so I think what I want to do is I want to kind of recreate this myself. I think that's what I want. Because it would be nice to run a subset of these. And you know what I could actually do? This only really needs to be run on theme changes. This only needs to be run when there's theme changes. I'm seriously tempted to spin these and run them separately. That might not be the worst thing in the world. Might not be the worst thing in the world. Okay, so for now, what we're going to do is we are going to find a random sampling. Where is the easiest way to do this? So let's look at, I think, doesn't XUnit have like an assembly lifetime? X assembly lifetime. Yeah, this is what it would be nice. But they want to go the fixture route. That's not a bad way of doing it. Yeah. We could do it as a fixture. I think what I'm going to do now, in the interest of simplicity, is we're just going to set a skip. Manual run when theme values change. Okay. So we're going to leave it at that because I don't want to wait 20 minutes for these things to run. So we're going to do that for now. Okay, so let's go here. Let's see. Theming tests to make sure all brushes exist. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. I'm seriously tempted to merge all of this. So let's squash these guys together. Force push over the top there, because I want all of this color theming stuff in one place. Okay, so given all of that, let's take a little gander at what all is in here. Because there is a lot of theming changes, and I'm not confident I've covered them all. I think I've covered most things, though. Because I'm somewhat tempted to merge in and just say that there's not going to be a 4.10 release, and we're just going straight to 5.0. Because there's been a lot of cleanup, and I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything major that should be broken. That's fine. That's fine. This is all just plain cleanup. This is all plain cleanup. Those all work. This is basically the exact same because this is the Material Design 3 one. Okay, this is killing obsolete members, fixing up the formatting, record all the things, fixing formatting, so that doesn't matter. This is where things are going to get interesting. So we got a debugger display here. Why did I do that? That's dumb. Let's go fix that. This really should be like this. And then this should be name of color pair.color. Oh, you know the, okay, fine. Fine, if you're gonna do that. So for those not familiar with the debugger display, this is a way for when you hover over an instance of color pair in your debugger, it will use this as the display string for the little tooltip that pops up, which is rather convenient. Okay, static resource extension that we expect. We looked at color manipulations. Okay, so these generations are adding in all of the secondaries, adding in all of the primaries. Let me just make sure on that test that we wrote, does it actually check against the stuff that it generates? Does it generate things including the primary and secondary colors? It does not. Well, that's bad. We should add those in. We should add those in. So theme test.g, it's going to be brushes. Generate theme brush tests. Theme test.g. Okay, so the wrap panel. So this is generating the wrap panel, doing the resources, ripping through all of there, adding in all the obsolete brushes, and then ending. What is missing here is it's not iterating over color brushes. And I don't have a good way of genning those aside from hard coding them. So private static enumerable string primary color brush names. I'm just gonna drop those in, and then we're gonna do secondary color brush names. And then yield, return, and then these are going to be based upon stuff here. So I pretty much want to grab this. Boom. And I want to paste you. Oh, that did not paste the way I expected it to. That's better. Not sure if that's faster or not. Okay, that goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. Yield return. It's like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. Okay. So that's... See, and here's why we have the spell checker turned on. Because... Yes, that's what I'd like. Thank you. And then we want to do the same thing with the secondary ones. So I click here and I go copy. Carpe diem. Okay. Paste. Oh, that did not actually do what we wanted. There. I don't know why when it does it above. The block copy and paste thing is something that does not work great in Visual Studio. It is one area where VS Code has reigned supreme for quite a while. Is their multi-cursor support and the ability to move stuff around. And I don't doubt there are people at Microsoft that want to make Visual Studio at least as powerful as VS Code is in that regard. But man, they could hurry up, it'd be great. Okay. What did I do? Did I add a using in here? It's acting like I added a using. Few changes. See, look at that. Discard. Okay, now we want to collapse some stuff and generate tests. This guy. Okay, when we are writing the wrapper panel, we want to then do for each string primary color in get what was it? Primary color brush names. And we are going to want to write the brush. Let's see. This is wanting to use brush.name. Kind of tempted to refactor this to just be string brush name. And let's see. Brush name and display name, I think make the most sense. It goes like that. Becomes brush.name. Bang. We don't need the bang there. I do need the bang there. Interesting. I wonder why. There. Okay, so now we can just do write brush, and then I think in this case we just do primary color in both cases. We come in here, Hey, Copilot, do secondary color. Ask Copilot. Add secondary color. Green secondary. Saw it. Here we go. Finish. Can you do it, Copilot? No. No. It's not like I left you a bunch of examples right above or anything. Okay. So we go back over here. We set our output project to the resource generator. We set this to generate brushes and we run. Booyah. Okay. And if we look, we'll see that what it did is at the end of our test, it generated out a bunch more brushes for us. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. And then I think what I would like to do is I want to, on this guy, do something like this, something like this. Take 5. That way I don't have to wait forever. We're just gonna run the first 5 and make sure they work. If 5 work, we're probably okay. There may be some edge cases where they don't work. I'm wondering if I should set some of these tests up to only run when not part of CI. Is that worse? Hammering people locally, though? Ugh. Oh, I probably didn't turn the skip off. I didn't turn the skip off, did I? Nope. There. Yeah, it's really easy to take these data-driven tests and immediately bloat scope in a lot of ways. So you can see those last, I'm pointing at my screen, I don't know why. You can see these last boxes that are showing up here and here are the ones that are going through the color themes. So you can see those making their way on through. And at least the first 5 all work flawlessly. Huzzah. Okay, so we're going to call that good for now. I do think I'm going to want to run them all, but let's continue the code review. Let's continue the code review. Okay, so we briefly checked all of these to make sure that those lined up. We briefly checked all of those to make sure that those lined up. It's a little annoying that those things aren't like that, but that's a little hard to format, so we just don't stress about it. Ma apps. I think we handled all of those, though we should definitely check them. And then bunch of theming tests, test base. Probably should change that back to true. It doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so there's your base theme colors. Those are all set. There's your dark. And this is going to be a bunch of brush changes. And this is where I suspect there's going to be bugs for a while. Is these guys here hunting all of these out. I kind of think we pull the trigger. let's do some demo app testing for a bit and make sure that things are looking good. But I'm kind of thinking that, at least in terms of base stuff, like I don't doubt there's going to need to be more that's added, but we've set this up such that there is an easy path forward, right? So we can change that, we can do that. We can turn off the color adjustment so you get true color. As you can see, the color switch based upon whether you want the true color or the adjusted color. So true color is that, auto color adjustment is that. Because you can see the issue here is without the color adjustment, these top ones start to get dark and don't look well in it. The color adjustment fixes that. And you'll note it changes what the color is based upon whether you're in light and dark theme. So even though I've picked pink 900 here, the value that I'm actually getting is going to be different. It may be a little darker in light theme, it may be a little lighter in dark theme, but it adjusts to make sure that you have an appropriate contrast ratio. So that's all color adjustment does, which I will say, that's an area of code that I'm kind of proud of. I was kind of proud of that one. Because personally, I like to turn it on in all of my things. But I realize I also don't care as much about my colors being exact as much as them looking good. Right? I would rather my colors be auto-adjusted so that I get a good contrast ratio rather than going, no, that's not the green that I picked. Right? So, like that one looks good. Surprised the color adjust doesn't darken that up a little bit. There's certain areas where it just does not do well. Yellow is a notoriously bad one. Oh, color adjustment's off. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you'll note that bright yellow without the color adjust, with the color adjust. Those are very different colors. Visually speaking, they may be on the same hue, but whoo boy. Whoo boy. Yeah, so I mean, those all, like, that all seems to be working well using the new theming stuff, I think. Oh, I should get myself off of the... Let's go back to, like, a purple. Those all look fine. Combo boxes. Floating hint. Okay. These ones. And that all seems fine to me. Nothing missing there. Data grids. I'm seriously tempted to bring this in and rev the version to 5.0. I'm thinking this is 5.0 is getting close-ish to ready. There's no real theming in there. Elevation. There's not a lot there beyond just visual. Expander. The other thing that I want to look at, so I've got a vested interest in building out a nice tree view. Specifically, I want a nice tree view that supports drag drop and all of that stuff in it. So because right now in my day job, I am being forced to use Telerix control, and oh man. Oh boy. Telerix controls are great as long as you don't try to customize them too deeply. and then your world ends. It's rubbish too. Menu with custom height. Adaptive menu. Huh. A menu wrapped in a card. Huh. That actually looks really nice. I've never thought about doing that before. Interesting. That's a nice look. I'll have to remember that. Got it. That's probably why it's wrapped in the card so that you can see. This is important. In color. So this is an area where I can see us wanting to do better, right? Like, I can see somebody doing this. This guy here. Have you used WPF material design in at least one project at work? Yes. In fact, the current project that I'm on is leveraging it. And that's one of the interesting things is it's leveraging, it's got Ma apps, it's got Telerik, it's got material design all bundled into one. And the Ma apps and material design, that interaction's fine. Right? The Ma apps is largely there for the window Chrome piece because that's what Ma apps does really well. Especially if you want to control like if you want to customize this header bar on your window and have the nice window glow effect and all of that, use Ma apps. It's wonderful. They've got a great setup for it, fully customizable. You're off to the races. Don't try to roll your own window control. It's much more complicated than it appears. Telerik was brought into the project only because there was a need for some controls that behaved kind of like Office. Think of Word, Excel type situations. And you do not want to recreate Word from scratch. That's a miserable nightmare. And the Telerik libraries did offer some... They were easy to get started with. I'll say that. They fell apart when they started to get used in other areas, and yeah, they can be like there's some things it does really well. Like out of the box, Telerik is awesome. Oh, that's a bug. Why would anyone choose to recreate Word anyways? Yeah, it's one of those things where weird people want to redo it because it makes sense to them. The palette view is busted. We'll come back to that. I don't think that was my changes, but I suspect that they're broken on latest as well. I'm really just going through looking for areas where the brushes might be wrong. But the thing is I've got the shim library in place, so really this is just validating that this one's not gonna have much styling to it. It's really just validating that the shims work. Do you have automated ways of testing this, or can it be tested manually? So I do have automated UI tests with XAML tests built in. The one thing that I can't automatically test is, does this look right? So all of my tests are built with the idea that they can check and make sure the right theme brush is set and that the right theme brush has the value I expect. But I can't test, does this still look right after my changes? So that's really what I'm after is, does it still look right after the changes or not? Because that's very much a subjective thingy. I forgot. This was Nikolai, if you're watching, I think this was one of your pages that you put in, which I very much like. he tends to do a lot of fixes around this. I am noticing that I picked up a bunch of binding errors, so we might need to go hunt some of those down. I don't know if any of them are caused by the library itself or if they are caused by the material design stuff, but like I said, I'm really just checking for, does this look right all the way through? And I think the answer is overall it's looking really good, which gives me a lot of hope, because I'm hoping that even though this is a big breaking change for a lot of people, I suspect the areas that are breaking are kind of deep and not a lot of people are going to be playing with them. So I'm hoping it will be less impactful in that regard. I'm also hoping that close clicked. Wondering if that's supposed to be working. Oh, does close click not work if you are on the tab? Oh, interesting. 24, 20, oh, so it's just not data bound properly. That's probably an easy thing to fix. Mode one time. That's probably the bug right there. It's binding it one time, which is why it doesn't update as you click. Let's just fix that one real quick. That's probably an easy change. Which page am I on? Tab something or another. Tabs. Tabs. Collapse this down. Let's see, one time. I think the easy thing here is just to do that. If I go and look at custom content, it is raising property changed appropriately. So now if I come here, it may not update properly. Just relaunch. Because when the close count click is updated, let's see, and tabs, we come down here, close, 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 there. Now as I click, it'll update the close count click. Yay! I think that's better. I don't know why that was bound one way. Okay, toggles. And all those look good to me. Yeah, see, I'm noticing there's things like this that are using primary hue mid brush. These need to be updated. But the fact that they're all working means that my shim package is doing a great job of handling it. Didn't like that. This bothers me, that covering it up, but it's to the right. Buttons. Okay, so there's that. That looks fine. I mean, seriously, this is not. This is pretty. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's bump 5. Do we pull the trigger and just do it? I'm kind of tempted to. I'm kind of tempted to. Or that 10. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tag where we currently are as 410. Push tag to, is it called origin? It's remote. I got too many remotes, yeah. So I want to push this tag to origin, right? So there goes that tag. And then I think what I want to do is I want to grab master. And I think I want to run a pipeline run on my thing, because here's the thing. I want to enforce linear build, but I want to rebase. I don't want to squash, and I don't know if I have that set up. Let's look. Can I do a where is these allow squash merging, allow rebase merging? Okay. So that works. That works. Okay, so let's do this. So let's bring it in. Brings in all of the breaking changes for 5.0 in this also includes all of the new theming changes as well. Do we want to do this? I think I do. I think I do. Oh, I think I also want to I want to set up my versions. This goes to 5. This is going to go to 3. I'm going to breaking change all the things. This goes to 1. Okay. Oh, I want to do that here. Version bumps. And then I think we open the PR. We're going for it. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's see. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And then we're going to include... Why didn't Nikolai pop up on there? Boom. Okay. Whole team. Whole team. So... Yeah. Oh, hey, Zalek. Yeah, I apologize. I apologize a lot. Don't feel the urge to review everything. I may end up merging this with this is going to be a rebase and a merge, because I want to keep all of these individual commits. So yeah, but I also want to see the test pass. So if you want to look it over and make sure things are as expected, I think there's more work that needs to go in and change. The key thing is going to be all of those dynamic brushes will need to be updated in the demo app. But the key thing is I'm dodging needing to actually fix those because I've added this. So this here is going to be something that gets well documented for 5.0 is this obsolete brushes. Is if you include this, you shouldn't have to go and update any of your brush names throughout the app. You get all the new ones, but then it also includes the old ones as well. If people want to go through and update their apps and get their naming all figured out, well, the nice part is here's your list of brushes that you need to go hunt down. So the list of things that needs to be changed are here. These are all the old names that need to be updated, and here's what you need to update them to. It seems pretty simple. I've left this, I've made this as stupid simple as I can come up with for people who need to either don't want to migrate or and just want to leave their stuff or whatnot. Now, there will be potential breaks in the future, but at least for now, I think this lets 5.0 go, and even though it's a lot of breaking renames, I think this is a fair compromise of if somebody wants to know what the old ones were and what they need to change them to in the new stuff, here you go. I contemplated writing a PowerShell script or similar to just regex replace these, but there's too many cases where that fails, and I'm a little hesitant to put that gun in somebody's hand without knowing how they're going to use it. Because in this case, I think I've given a lot of help here. Okay, so in light of all of that, there was a, that build is going, because, oh boy, yeah, that's a big boy. That is a big boy. Ooh. Why has my computer been acting so weird? Specifically my browser. Okay, and so some of these other things, assuming this merges, I'm going to take everything that's in the 410 milestone and just bump it forward into 5.0. And away we go. I wanted to look at this, but there was also, was it an issue or a discussion point that came in? Was this it? Yeah. So this is a binding error, specifically around the dialog host. And it calls out it's a specific issue in 4.9. I was going to test this really quick. cd temp. mkdir bug 3228. cd bug 3228. .NET new. Can I just say how much I love being able to do that? Like, and just like that, I have a full WPF solution ready to rock and roll. Like, yay! .NET new templates done well. So, shameless self-promotion time. Shameless self-promotion time. For anybody who wants to be able to do that as well, here's the templates I'm using. They're mine. You install them by running this command on the command line. And then you're done. And then you can go, you can go into the WPF one, right? And run .NET new Kebu WPF and whee! I still need to finish documenting all of the features that I've embedded in there, but for the most part, okay, because this person went to all of the effort of writing up a nice repo. So, or reproduction steps. So let's mimic their stuff as best we can. Paste. So that's all in. That's fine. We go here and they gave us their main window, which is not a lot of content. Convenient. So we just place all of that. They don't do design time context. We need to include the namespace. And that's all she wrote. Okay, so now in theory, when I fire this up, I get binding error. One binding error, look at that. Cannot find... Well, the good news is it does in fact reproduce. Visual brush.visual. Where is that thing? Visual brush.visual. Okay. Doesn't give me a lot to go on. But we're waiting for that PR. Let's see if we can find our visual brush. Let's see here. Let's see, what do you got here? Fill contains local drawing brush. It's kind of hoping to get lucky and have it just show up right in front of me. But it's visual brush.visual. That's what's confusing me, is I don't think there's a visual brush. And some of these things are fixed in my new branch with all of them frozen. Okay, so none of those show up. Okay, well, let's go spelunking for visual brushes. This is going to be back on 4.9. So let's see. Why don't I have this? I want to be able to do check out this commit from over here. I want to be able to go in a headless state. Okay, so now we're back on that commit. I'm sure it's going to take a moment while it regathers itself. Let's go hunting. Where are all of our visual brushes? Calendar. Oh, look at that. There's an opacity mask. It's looking for content cover border. Oh, interesting. This is hunting. So I'm willing to bet that this is occurring because this is the content cover grid. And the opacity mask is the visual brush. Okay, so if that's the case, if we go here and we go here, the dialog host should have the content cover grid. This guy here should have an opacity mask, which is a visual brush. Dive into that. The visual brush should have a visual property. And it exists now, but it's triggering a binding error because it doesn't exist when it's first launched. So I'm willing to bet that is what is triggering it. Solid color brush color as well. What's the right way of fixing this? Because when it's building this up, if you think about what it has to do, it has to build up this opacity mask when it's creating the grid. But in those cases, this thing doesn't exist yet. So let's do this. Let's close this down. Let's go back over to here. And what I would like to do is I would like to turn off material design themes. I'm going to unload the test project so I don't have to think about it. And then I'm going to add a project reference, which is a bold-faced lie, because I'm going to browse over to this guy. I'm going to rebuild from my new branch that I'm on. And then I am going to just navigate to that. Dev, I'm in the wrong place. Material design toolkit. And I would like to go to here, here, here. I'm at 7. I'm going to need to bring both of those in. Great. Add both of those in. Okay. Okay, so now I've got hard references. Let's just verify that the bug reproduces like this. And then, yeah, so bug reproduces. Okay, which means now I can make changes over here and test the result. The first thing I want to test is something kind of stupid. Functionally, that doesn't do a darn thing. However, I don't know how the XAML parser is going to handle this. Whether it is going to create the border inside of the grid and then set the grid's opacity mask, which is what would be preferable. Right? So there's that. We got to come over here. We have to do a rebuild because it doesn't always know about hard DLL references. And then we see if that does anything. Okay, that does not appear to have done anything. Next thing, let's just verify that if we delete it, the thing goes away. Let's just confirm that that's what we're looking at. So we will rebuild that. Uh-oh. My PR may have failed. Sad day. Wah, wah, wah. And test failed. Well, that's actually a good thing. That's why we ran it. GitHub. Ah, look at this. We actually have some legitimate failures. Resource with key, primary hue mid-brush not found. Excellent. That looks like a legitimate failure. We'll go look at that in just a moment. Okay, so that rebuilt successfully. Let's come over here. Let's rebuild this. Then launch. And if the binding error goes away, we know we're looking at the right thing. Well, binding error went away. So that's pretty conclusive. That's our guy. So the issue then is how to handle this binding, because it's going to trigger a binding error until this guy is set. Fallback value. It's one of those weird situations because the grid is the parent and the thing that's binding to is its child. It's very awkward. And I don't quite know how to handle it. Because it's a binding error when it's first loading, but once it's loaded, it's fine. So that's doubly annoying. Okay, so let's launch this guy and we will see. No. What is the point of this opacity mask? What purpose is it accomplishing? Let's do this. Come up here and we're going to throw away changes. Yeah, I get it. I would like to look at material design dialog host. Yeah, so let's go with blame dialog host.xaml. And I want to look at 208. Okay, what PR brought this in? Great. So that's not likely the cause. Because that was just a formatting change. And that existed prior. Okay. Go back a little bit and we will check it that way. So there's the same thing. Let's see. There's that guy. Added corner radius to dialog host. Oh, is that when it got introduced? That I could see. Okay, so let's go look at that commit specifically. So, so before this didn't exist. This binding error came in as a result of this one. I am wondering if this border needs to be a because this is adding a border with a okay, got it. So this is adding a border with a corner radius. Just so it can trim up the grid. Now, and it's inside the grid so that its sizing is correct. And there's a UI test for this as well. Applied corner radius when dialog open. So this goes, sets it, and looks for that content cover border to make sure that the corner radius is set on there, which is validating the template binding portion of this. Because by having it there, well, that's not going to show me anything. By setting it up there, okay, so this is, let's put this in. Did digging on this appears to have been paused. We added the corner radius to dialog post PR pound. What was that number? 2803. 2803. Let's see. Comment. We'll take evaluation required off. It is a bug. Let's slap it in 5.0. Because this feels like something that is fixable, and it probably just needs a slightly different change here. My gut instinct is to want to pull the border out of the grid and have it be a sibling of the grid. That's my gut instinct, right? And going one step further, even doing that. That's my gut instinct, is to just move the border outside so it sits next to it. Still seems a little odd to me. Let's see, style. When the opacity is 0, it goes to hidden. There's got to be something else watching this. This is got to be triggered by a storyboard. Yeah. I also wonder if content cover grid really should just be the border, so that rather than needing the opacity mask, we could just have this border here. Like, eliminate grid altogether and instead have the border just live there. And then you don't need this opacity mask thing. So there's some thoughts there to play with, but I'm going to be done with that for the moment and go back to my branch because I want to go chase that other unit test failure, which looks to be a legitimate failure. Jump me back up to branch. Okay, so the test failure in question was this guy. This is the guy. Take me there. Build. So this guy here is attempting to get a theme color brush, and that ain't gonna work. For obvious reasons. Let me just make sure when this thing is instantiating with material design that it is loading up the new stuff. Yeah, so it's not, when it instantiates with material design, it is not using the shim library. So there's probably going to be a few of these things that are likely failure cases because it's going to go hunting for these theme resources and not get them. So we're going to start with, once these things are done running, we're going to rerun those tests. I'm pretty confident we're going to see some failures. And then I think all these failures are going to be as simple as swap out the theme color that it's hunting for. Okay, so a bunch of test runs. Yep, so that one is primary hue mid brush, primary hue mid brush, primary hue mid brush. Yeah, so this one is hunting for all of those. We can look at our obsolete brushes. Primary hue mid brush has been updated to material design brush primary. So these tests should be that, that, and that. And then we should be able to rerun and have them work. Well, that fixed one. Let's see. Let's see. Expected that, got that. Expected that, got that. Okay, so we've got on mouse over uses theme brush. So this could be a failure on my part. So this is taking the outline brush style and suggesting that I'm not. That was primary hue mid brush before. So let's go look at this style and see what I may have done wrong. Okay, so there's the style. It's hunting the border. It's hunting the background. This guy is using background. So hold on, this is outline button. And it's saying the background should be the it doesn't seem right considering the border is set to the mid brush, not the background. On mouse, outline button, on mouse over. Border can be overridden. So this gets the border. Uses theme color for border. I don't think this test was right, because this is checking the background, which isn't actually even set here. What does it do? Well, hang on. What is it doing? Brush opaque. So the background on mouse over is being set to a binding to the foreground. And the foreground isn't being set here. Right, so the background is getting set to the foreground. The foreground isn't being controlled in here. Does the flat button set either of those? Ah, foreground sets primary hue mid brush. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So let's go look at buttons. There's the outline button. That is getting set with the theme color. So that's working. It's just inside of here, it's not. Okay, so let's check. Maybe there's an issue with my get theme color because I'm noticing this one up here is also failing. So this is the expected change, and that test is expected to work. So get theme color. Let's back up and relaunch this. What color are you getting? So that is, I mean, that's the expected theme color, it looks like. But that also doesn't jive with what's going on here. So something's odd here. Okay, so let's check the style on this button too. So it's gotten the right style, but this is not getting the appropriate brush treatment. Oh, I know exactly why. Because my shim library doesn't affect the base styles. And this lives in the base style here. This is wrong. This needs to be changed. Okay. Okay. Got it. So this is wrong. Let's see. Okay. That needs to be changed. That needs to be changed. I probably need to go through and update a bunch of these. I need to go through and hunt out all usages of these. You know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna do a find in current project, replace with dynamic resource. $120 occurrences. That should get these tests passing. Now, that likely means that there are other failures. And I suspect we would find them as soon as we turn that shim thing off in the demo app. Ta-da! Okay. Okay, so that's gonna fix that. Let's do it. Should I write the PowerShell script to do this? I kind of want to evaluate. Okay. I kind of feel like we just need to evaluate all of these and kill them one at a time. And I think that's what we are going to do. Let's see. Let's see, replace all. Whoops. Sock. Crap. That did not work for me. Okay, discard all changes in folder. I think I've just decided we're writing PowerShell. So the tests were wrong and need to be updated, but I need to replace all of these brushes with their appropriate counterparts. Oh, I hate it. 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 Let's do it anyway. Let's see. Open folder. There. There. Select. Create file. Nope. I don't know what the heck that was. Yep. So scripts. New file. Migrate brushes. Oh, that should probably have an extension on the end of it. Okay. Is this the right thing to do? Probably the answer is yes. Okay, we're gonna do something like this. We're gonna do that, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. Okay. So get child item, recurse, let's see. Star.xaml. Okay. I'm going to write this like a C# developer, not like a PowerShell developer. So, PowerShell people, turn away now. Okay, and then we just want to do effectively just a set content. Well, let's read this. XAML gets get content XAML file. XAML gets XAML place. We might write just a little function for this. Yeah, actually, we don't even need that much, right? Well, gets. Don't overcomplicate it. Replace that with that, right? So we would like to hunt out this and replace it with this, right? That is what we want. What is that? That's the syntax. Yeah. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do set content. Let's see. XAML file with XAML. We should probably be a little more explicit. Path. Value. Something like that. Okay. We're going to go with scripts, migrate brushes, root directory gets here. No, root directory is going to be material design themes.wpf. Ran. Check the results. Didn't do bad, except for it replaced every bloody thing everywhere, which is definitely not what we want. Right. We're going to do this. We're going to stage that change. We're going to go to the UI tests, and it was the button one. Where's the, I can't see the separator thingy-mabobber. There, that'll work. Stage. Actually, it's probably the whole file. Okay, stage that file. And we're going to throw away all our unstaged changes. Oh, lovely. Okay, put that back. So get child item needs to be set to root directory. And then we're going to go with, screw it, we're just going to run it. Let's see. How do I... Oh, path, hang on. Path is supposed to be root directory, right? Root directory, and then this is supposed to be filter or... Is that it? Is this the... Just come down here and test it. Rather than root directory, this becomes material design. There. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so that's more like what we want. Come down here. On the migration, check the results. I would like to know if this actually changed. Why does this say file contents are unchanged, but it shows as a diff? I'm worried that I need to set some encoding for this. So themes, internal base theme colors.xaml. Let's go here, here. UTF-8, Control Alt F. Now, if we discard those changes, UTF-8 with bomb. So it is, we need to change that script up to be tolerant of that. Encoding. Let's see. How do I get UTF-8 with bomb? Actually, do I have my... Let's just ask. How to do PowerShell set content with UTF-8 with byte order mark encoding. No bomb. Okay. No idea if that's true or not. We're going to try it. Yeah, parameter cannot be found. That is lovely. Thank you for lying to me. Again. Let's go here. Shall set content bomb. No, don't add funky characters. Place word encoding without byte order mark. This is saying that it bombless by default. Okay. Let's just look at the docs. How does one claims there's an encoding for UTF-8 bomb? Okay. That would be the most convenient. Okay. That I guess the question is, which version of PowerShell am I running now? Specifically, which version of PowerShell am I getting here? I do a new terminal, doesn't it just show me the version on the output? No. Okay. View version. How do I do this? Determine installed PowerShell version. Yeah, that's all I want to know. That's right, PS version 2. I remember something about this now. Oh. Oh, wow. Winget search PowerShell. Sudo get me a better version of PowerShell. I think I want that one. Winget install Microsoft PowerShell. For reference, I have been absolutely loving Winget. It is awesome. Utterly awesome. Three most important commands to know. Winget search to find the name of to find the ID of the thing you want. Winget install to install the thingy that you want. And then Winget uninstall to remove the thingies that you don't want. And because Winget isn't just a full package manager, it's not like it only cares about things that is he installing. It's not like it cares only about things that were installed with Winget. It'll look at what's installed on your system. Think of it as a command line utility for your add remove programs, except for it's cooler than that. But that's probably functionally a good way of thinking of it. Okay. Okay, so how do I get me a new terminal now with the latest version of has stopped? Would you like to restart it? Yes. Specifically, I want to restart it and see a new. There was probably a less abusive way to kill that, but aha! See, now we're talking. Because it's being used by another process. I'm gonna go with Visual Studio or Get Kraken. It's holding on to that file. Okay. In another turn of events, that executed significantly faster, which immediately makes me skeptical that it did anything, but weirder things have happened. It did something. Okay, so now we're down to just the ones that actually have changes. Excellent. Excellent, 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 excellent. Is Winget built into the system by default? Yes. It is built into Windows. I don't recall which version of Windows it was added to, though. I don't recall, but you did get it for free built into Windows. So if you just do Winget dash question mark or dash help, you will probably see it if you're on a somewhat recent version of Windows. I think it's only Windows 10 and 11. If you're older than that, I'm sorry. But latest versions of 10 and 11, I believe, both get Winget for free. Okay, so I just need to build a set of these based upon the obsolete brushes. So what I would like to do is I would like to come up here and I would like to find the obsolete brushes. Oh, this is going to be a problem. I do not want to blindly change the string. I want to only change kind of feel like I'm going to want to write a function here in a second. Place brushes. Let's see, and then we're gonna go ram string old string new string value. So we're gonna end up doing something like, oh hush now. We want to do turn. Actually, let's do this. Value gets value dot replace, and we're going to want to do this maneuver here, where this is old, and then we're going to want to do this maneuver here, where this is new. Then we're going to want to put a comma here. Then we're going to want to go copy paste, and then I want to pick up static resources as well. Actually, let's do this. Static resource. And then we want to return value. So this is then going to become XAML gets place brushes XAML, and then we don't have to do this garbage. We can just get away with this garbage. This. I can do that. Think. I come up here and I whack all this, and then I do save to put the script back. Then I go up arrow. We run it. It executes an insanely fast rate. That is not what we wanted. Let's see. Do I have to name all of these? This is where my PowerShell is going to come back to bite me. Get version string. Didn't I do one of these before where I didn't have this problem? New NuGet. Do I have to name them? I think I do. Oh, I put commas between them. That's the... Some days, PowerShell, you make me hate you. Some days. Most days. Okay, back down to a smaller amount. It's a smaller amount where it has somehow managed to completely botch all new lines. What the heck just happened? Huh? Throw that away, throw that away. Script. I'll put it back. Thank you. Named parameters. Back to only 62. What have I done and why have I lost all my new lines and white spaces? What did I do to lose all of those? Start with the obvious. That. Right? I'm gonna cut that one out. Okay, that cleaned out white space at the end, but didn't do a replacement in the middle. I'm wondering if that's the problem. Oh, I didn't reset before that. So with an encoding doesn't seem to break. That completely foobars all the white space. What the heck? Okay. Let's see. Well, before we just had replace. Right, and I don't think that was giving me any grief. Because clearly calling a function makes that problem different. Okay, let's see. Does that wipe all my white space? No, it's perfectly fine. So what is the difference between that, that? You know what? We're not going to stress about it. We are just going to do it like this. And then I will hunt out the stragglers because there shouldn't be that many static resources sitting around anyway. Okay, so that'll get me to there, that'll get me to there, that'll get me to there. Let's go and grab those obsolete brushes. I would like to grab all of you for a little regex fun. Okay, you go away. Okay, so this is what we want to get to from here. So let's go with this. So we want to hunt out x:"key equals quote regex enabled, and then we want match group. Let's see, the set of characters that are not quotes, we want some number of repetitions, close paren, grab quote. Right, so that's going to be our key. We're going to grab any number of characters, any amount of things, and then we are going to then grab resource key equals quote second match group. We're going to once again grab the set of all things that are not quotes. We want at least one repetition. We want it to end in a quote. In the group ended with a quote there. We then want to replace, and actually what we want to do is we want to go from start of line, anything, and then we want anything to the end of the line. Okay, now our target is a line that looks like this. Come back over here, we paste that in, and we want to replace this with $1, which should be our first match group, which should be the thing in the key. Then we want to replace this with $2. Test. Yeah, that looks right. Copy, paste. And that right there is why you should learn regex. I love when regex works the first time. It never works the first time, in case you were wondering. There. So now that should hunt all of those out, at least in my XAML. Okay, how bad is the diff? That does not look horrible. Okay. And then we come back over to our C# side of things. I guess I should really scan through this to make sure I'm not editing something that I don't expect to be. So, generic navigation bar, window, badge, calendar, card, clip, clock, combo box, data grid, expander, font. Oh, cleaned up white space at the end. Grid splitter, group box, hyperlink, label, light. Okay. Obsolete brushes. That one we want to discard. The presence of that obsolete one makes me wonder if I accidentally got one too many things, so we're just going to rerun that blindly real quick. Since it executes so bloody fast, might as well. Make sure obsolete shows up in here. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so that fixes all of those. Now the only thing we have to go back is and fix these ones because I broke it. But primary hue mid brush gets replaced with this guy again. So now those ones all are replaced. These tests will rerun to make sure that they pass, and then we'll push. Let's see. Editing script for updating brushes. Ran the script against material design theme WPF. Okay. Are the tests green? Huzzah. Okay, so now we come back here. We go here. Commit. What? Oh, I didn't stage that. Amend. Push. Okay, and it is off to the races. Okay, circling back real quick for those people who stuck around the whole way through, my sincerest apologies to anyone who goes and reviews the PR. I do very much covet any review people are willing to do. I fully understand that this is a PR with 328 modified files. So I am, yeah, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. All I can say is I'm sorry. It might actually be easier to go commit by commit. There's a handful of commits that I squashed around the theming stuff that'll be big, but for most of it, the other commits are fairly small. Okay, tonight's brain teaser. Brain teaser. Okay, so this is the guy I had up before, and this is a spot the bug problem. And I cannot claim credit for it. My colleague Adam sent me a very similar variation on this, and I was like, I'm poaching that. So the question is quite simple. XORing all the bytes together. So what is the behavior of the test? So walking through it, we have our method getBytes. It is an iterator method. For those people who may not be familiar with things like yield return, check out other brain teaser problems. Oh, spoiler. Hang on, more shameless self-promotion. This, I did add this one to, it is added on the main repo for those people who want to, play at home. This is under byte iterator. So this guy has a getBytes method. It's an iterator method that returns. We call getBytes, and then we call the link aggregate method. So the aggregate method takes in an initial seed value, and then it iterates over every item in the enumerable. A is the value from previous. So for the first item in the enumerable, A will be your seed. And then B is the current item in the enumerable. So in this case, we're starting at 0. So our A would be 255, B would be 0, and we're going to XOR those values together. The result of that circles back around and becomes our next A, and then B becomes 1, etc., all the way through the enumerable. So the spot the bug problem is as follows. What is the behavior of this unit test? You could also ask, how would you go through and fix the bug? How would you write the test to display the bug, et cetera, et cetera? There's various ways about doing it. So anybody who doesn't want a spoiler, pause the video, like in 3, 2, 1. Okay. There is a bit of a hint in here. So the first hint is, note that the instructions are to identify the behavior of the method and why the behavior is occurring. And then there's a suggestion of try executing the unit test with a breakpoint on the yield return statement. You might also try increasing the starting value in the for loop from 0 to 250. So this will probably, if we go through and do this, well, let's do this first of all. So I'm going to run this unit test. And we'll kick that off, and then we'll let that thing sit there for a minute. So if it's not obvious by this point, by the fact that this little spinny bar is still going round and round and round on a project that literally has a single unit test, this test isn't going to finish. It's just going to spin for until boredom is reached. So the behavior of this method, to answer the first part of the question, is the method loops forever. Okay. If we take the hint and say, let's bump this up to 250, right? And put a breakpoint here and then debug the test. All right. So we'll come in here and then we'll let the breakpoint sit and we will look at B. Come on. I'm going to just pin that value there for a minute. Then we're just going to go F5. B is 251, F5, B is 252, 253, 254, and you know my byte.max value is 255, so we hit 255, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So the subtle thing, and this may be more obvious with something other than byte, because in C# we have various numeric types. There's byte, unsigned short, unsigned int, unsigned long. Just depends on how many bits you want to play with. Byte just happens to be the smallest, and because it doesn't have a U at the beginning, sometimes it's forgotten that this is an unsigned byte. We do also technically have signed bytes for those people who are real crazy out there. This gets used very seldom. But the behavior here is because we are iterating to less than or equal to max value, when we hit 255, we increment that overflows the byte, and we circle back to 0. Now, interestingly, there are a couple keywords in C# for either checked or unchecked context. So for example, if we do checked context, right, and do this, then the behavior of this test is going to be a little more interesting. All right, now we immediately throw an exception when we hit the overflow case of inside of checked context. If you reach that overflow situation, you get an exception rather than it just wrapping, versus unchecked, right? And then we rerun, where you'll end up getting that loop behavior. Now, the other thing that's obviously a choice is this equals could be deleted as well, right? We could just do that. That is another choice possible. And it's probably the more likely choice, because again, what the correct fix is really depends on what you're trying to accomplish in your app. Yeah, you just gave up. So we could do this, right? And rerun this test. And now this thing actually finishes. Huzzah, right? 3 milliseconds. Great. And let's bump over. So let's imagine that we drop the equals off of the end, right? So we're technically only going to iterate from 0 to 254. Or I guess we'll end up getting all the way up here. What is the output here? Right? So the easiest way to look at this is considering just the first 3 bytes, right? So if we look at, because we're comparing with 255, that means our initial value, if we just look at, let's see, so it'll be 111 XORed with 000, which will equal, no, copilot, no, we're doing binary. No, 56, which will end up giving you 111, right? You'll have 111 feed in. The next value will be 001. Okay, now you're getting mildly better copilot, right? If we do the next one, no, 110 copilot. Get your act together. No, it's 010. Now I'm really skeptical of its math. So matching, not matching. So now it lines up there. Come through here. And let's see. So we have 100. We have 3. This now gets us back to 1 here. All the way back down, right? So let's see. That's 3. We go to 4. 4 goes there. We get there. You figured it out, Copilot? Figured my pattern out? Let's see. That's correct. Let's see. And then that comes in. So you can kind of note here, just looking at the pattern, if we just look at 3 bits, the important thing to note is that we've got a steadily repeating pattern, at least on expected multiples. And something is off here. 111. Let's see, that's different. Same. Different, same. All right. Different, same. Oh, this is the one that's off. No, 0, that makes sense. That goes there. And then it leads through here. So if we do this, let's run this guy through. We should come out with a nice even 0 on the bits for matching. And I'm trying to look because there's a pattern here where it should have gone to 0 and I'm missing something here. Might have to double check my answer. But regardless, the important thing here is the checked versus unchecked behavior when working with unsigned types that you may end up overflowing. So in terms of brain teaser, there she goes. Cool. Well, that is going to wrap up this month. So thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. Hopefully some of that stuff was interesting. 5-0's looking pretty close. Yeah. So for those people who are on the contributors team, I appreciate the stuff. Hopefully all of that gets merged. I will probably keep poking at it and keep bringing stuff in, but I think the goal is going to be to get the 5.0 stuff into the main branch and get some preview packages out the door. We'll see how it goes. No problem, Justin Bieber. Always enjoy doing them, and thank you for coming and hanging out. Like I said, for those people who are interested, next week it's going to be .NET MAUI. We're going to be doing a code review of an app from another viewer, contributor. I don't know how to describe him. But sent me a repo and agreed to let me show it on stream. So we'll go through there and see what we find. Should be a good time. With that, tell everyone happy coding. See y'all next time.